What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Manji TV. On today's episode, we have this beautiful 2018 BMW M240i on the lift for some sweet upgrades. I'm gonna show you those now. Right here on the floor, we have some AKG Poly 75D diff mounts and subframe mounts. Well, these are the diff mounts. Those are the subframe mounts. We're gonna be installing those, as well as some new traction arms from Turner. These are produced by SPL, so they're very fine construction, titanium in a blue finish with Turner branding. The arms are exactly the same as SPL, but the customer chose to go with these because I guess they were on a special. We also have a heavy-duty Guibo, as the factory Guibo I'll show you now is completely torn. This car is pushing about 600 to 700 newtons, I guess actually almost 800 newtons through the drive shaft to these rear wheels. On low boost, this car makes like 650 or something like that. It's got a big boost kit and a bunch of other cool stuff. We'll show you that in a bit, but just wanted to run you down what we've done so far and what is required to lower your subframe, do your diff mounts, and check this Guibo out as well. So unfortunately the camera was kind of dead, so I didn't get to get the teardown, but we'll give you the reassembly and I'm gonna run you down what you guys gotta do. So first things first, get your car up in the air, get your wheels off. We've gone ahead and removed our calipers, we removed our rotors. After you do that, you will have to release your parking brake cables, as those need to slip through the subframe when we're coming down. We'll kind of show you how we did that. You'll also have to undo all of your wiring to your EDC here for your shocks and your ABS sensor for your wheels and your brake wear sensor and whatnot. There are some clips along the subframe that hold everything in place. You'll want to undo those so that you can pull your cables out. We've gone ahead and actually zip tied our calipers up so that they're not dangling by the brake cable. The exhaust does have to come out. We did take the rear section of the heat shields out to access this Guibo here. As you can see, this Guibo is quite destroyed. Not only is it not round anymore, it's tearing from all that horsepower. This thing is quite monstrous when it comes to power. And part of the reason why we're doing these subframe bushings is the fact that the customer feels, and I have experienced it myself, the car kind of wanders under full throttle due to so much load going through this rear subframe and it twisting and moving all around under power. And so the hope is that the car becomes more controllable and smoother and puts the power down better with all these mods. So we'll be sure to give you guys some kind of after the fact opinion on it. I'm sure it's going to be a massive improvement. It always is. It's always one of my favorite mods, but nonetheless, let's keep talking about what we've done so far. So after you take the exhaust out and you undo your Guibo, the drive shaft will basically fall down. We'll show you that here in a bit. You do have to remove these corner panels to access the bolts for the strut brace, or they call this brace that goes across from the one side of the subframe to kind of the front middle section of the car. I call it a strut, but it's basically just a brace. And there are some kind of like frame sections that go from the outer frame rails here to the subframe as well. You'll have to remove those. We have not got those out yet. We'll show them to you once we do. We're actually basically ready to drop this subframe almost. You do have to take the lower arm little plastic cover panels off so that you can get your shock bolts out. We've done that. Everything has been disconnected except for this one cable. Everything has been disconnected except for this one cable going to the ride height sensor. So I'll be doing that now. Be sure to not forget that. You can leave the ride height sensor intact. Nothing will happen with that. As far as like other lines and cables, you do have to undo your parking brakes, like I said, and there are these clips that I've gone ahead and removed them from. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. Customer got here at about 8:30. Took me a little bit to get the car on the lift and wheels off. It's 9:30 now, and I've had to answer some calls and do some other things. So it's about a 30-minute to an hour job just to get to here, and we're basically ready to drop this thing. So before I do drop it, I just wanted to give you guys a quick rundown. Same thing goes on this side. We've removed all of our parking brake little levers and all the hardware here. Everything from drive shaft bolts, control arm bolts, and whatnot. There are some bolts that do hold the ABS sensors in. Those have obviously been removed. They go here. So we've gone ahead and removed the T30 bolts there. And there's a little like 5mm Allen here for the brake line to get mounted to the knuckle. But other than that, it's really straightforward. So we're gonna go ahead and continue moving forward. We'll show you the subframe once we get it down. We'll show you how we change out the bushings on the diff and the subframe, and also gonna be installing those traction arms, which are gonna be replacing these bad boys here on the lower side. So that's these guys here I'm talking about. We're gonna be replacing those, which these are quite flimsy. I did recommend to the customer that he should get toe arms, as now that that arm is gonna be nice and stiff, the toe arm is gonna deflect even more. And so hopefully he's gonna get some SPL toe arms or Turner ones to match. But yeah, nonetheless, this car is pretty freaking sweet. He's got some nice mods on it. We'll show you some of that stuff here later. We always love our 2 Series, so let's go ahead and get the subframe out and get this car dialed in. All right, guys, we're just about to drop the subframe out of the car. Just kind of want to show you here. So we've gone ahead and removed the hardware holding these back so that we can get the inner frame bolts, which have already been undone. We're gonna go ahead and hit the 4 main subframe bolts. As you can see here, everything is out of the way. As previously mentioned, we've looped the e-brake cables back and pulled all the harnesses out of the way. We've got some wood under here to support the diff and the control arms when we drop it down. We're gonna go ahead and get these E-Torx bolts here on all 4 corners, and then this subframe should come down. Guys, here's a better look at these frame brackets. You've got 2 bolts here at the end, and that's where the strut brace will mount to. And this obviously goes through the subframe to the chassis. So we'll get those out of the way, and then we'll get these back ones. There it is, guys. It's about to come down. Just be careful as the subframe rotates forward. It kind of locks the shock in place on the lower arm, so you may have to just jiggle it slightly to get it up. Watch your calipers as you're coming up. Good. There it is. What do you think about that?
Got the subframe dropped. Gonna get those bushings out now.
All right, guys, I found the best way to do these. Honestly, a press would probably be better, but it's honestly really hard to get a press up on here, as there's not much lip. The lip's really small, so it is really kind of hard to get a press on it. I found the best way is to just melt this, get the center slug hot enough that it'll just straight fall out of the bushing, and then from there the cage around the bushing will slip out very easily. All right, guys, as you can see here, I'm doing nothing. Look at this. It's gonna just fall out on its own once you get it hot enough. And then you can just blow out the fire and move on to the next one. All right, guys, so we're working on the last subframe bushing. After that, we will go ahead and smack the casings out. The reason I do it this way is there's this lip on the bottom and it's super thin on the top, and there's no real good way to push these things out, I've found, other than just being rough with them and heating them up and hammering them. Let's take a quick look at the car, see what it looks like without the subframe in it. As you can see here, all the wiring's hanging, shocks are hanging, brakes are hanging, e-brake cables are pulled back. Everything is just kind of pulled out of the way. Not much really in the way once you have everything out, keeping the subframe from coming down. So not a crazy hard job. Definitely something you could do in your garage at home, but would suck a lot more having to lay under this thing. It's definitely nice being able to stand. But yeah, nonetheless, you guys need to get out there and do your diff bushings and subframe bushings. All right, guys, so this is the way to do it. You just get a nice punch that's kind of thin. You want to work in this section where it's supported, where it's basically like welded into the subframe. Drive it all the way through is what I like to do, and then what I'll do is kind of flex it. Drive this thing all the way through, or go the other way, whichever you prefer. Bring it back up, and what we'll do now is just hammer. It's like plastic, basically. Like, it's straight plastic, guys, so don't be afraid to beat on them. they will come out pretty easy once you melt that inner slug out. All right guys, so all 4 of the subframe bushings are out. I'll show you those again in a bit, but we're working now on the diff bushings. Same procedure goes. Heat up the center slug enough so you can smack it out, and then once you smack it out, you can drive a punch through it and crush the cage, and then it'll basically just pop right out. We've gone ahead and taken all the bolts out and just let the diff fall down out of the subframe a little bit so that we can actually have room to pull the bushings through. We're gonna go ahead and do the back one last, but as you heard, Morgan did like 1 smack and the thing already came out. As you can see there, that's what it looks like. Put a little water on it, stop the fire. Make sure to do this in a place where you aren't worried about the ground, because it is messy. It's my really only downfall to burn them, is it makes a mess of everything. But we're gonna go ahead and get this back bushing out and get those AKG 75D poly bushings in. All right guys, after a battle with this diff bushing, we finally got it out. Every bushing other than this rear one was super, honestly, straightforward and fairly easy. This guy, for whatever reason, was just a pain in the butt. We tried splicing it. We tried using a ball joint press tool, axle bearing press tool, and eventually it was a combination of all 3, slicing it, hammering it, and the press tool to finally get it out. So now everything's out. We have gone ahead and installed our Turner traction arms. We've still got to torque all that. They are set to essentially the stock length. We will want to line this thing when we're done, but they're looking beautiful. We'll give everything a wipe down before we put it in the car. Time to get these bushings in. I do have them in the freezer, which should hopefully make things easier. So let's go ahead and get these bad boys in there. All right guys, we are ready to install this diff. These AKG Motorsports solid or poly bushings are in. Poly diff bushings are in. These subframe ones are kind of a pain in the butt due to these little tapers here. They really don't want to go, and you really have to beat the ever-living you-know-what out of them. We also have gone ahead and installed our SPL traction arms. We've torqued these bolts to 100 Newton meters on both sides. SPL does supply some new bolts that are slightly longer for the outers, so make sure to use those. The front diff bushing torque is 120 Newton meters, and the rear diff bushing bolt is 121 Newton meters. You can see everything has been marked. We also went through the rest of the suspension and just double checked the torque on everything. Everything is good to go. So we're gonna go ahead and install this bad boy back in the car and get the subframe bolts torqued to 108 Newton meters, and the brakes on. Brakes are 80 foot-pounds, and the drive shaft, I believe, forget, I'll have to double check. But yeah, let's go ahead and get this bad boy in. All right guys, everything is in. The wiring for the EDC and the ABS and brake wear sensors is all routed correctly. We've rehooked up our parking brakes. We do still have to put our little bracket in here that holds it in place. We've tightened, obviously, everything as we mentioned before. The subframe has been torqued to 108 Newton meters. We'll go ahead and get everything a wipe down here shortly. These shock bolts torqued to 74 Newton meters plus 90 degrees, and they do need to be pre-tensioned. Diff, once again, here in the back is 221 Newton meters. Front is 120 Newton meters. Everything is all nicely torqued and marked, looking good, routed as it should be. Super excited to see how this thing feels. And yeah, let's go ahead and keep moving on. Also, these guys up in here are 56 Newton meters plus 60 degrees. So we're gonna do the final torque on those and then wrap this bad boy up. Take her for a maiden voyage. We will have to put our lower shock or lower arm covers in. We did torque the brakes to 68 foot-pounds on the back. And e-brake cables have been popped back in their location here. And last thing is to get this new Guibo on. Here's our destroyed Guibo. I don't know if I showed you guys this yet, but you can see here this factory Guibo is no longer around. It looks like a triangle and is like tearing. So we're gonna go ahead and install a new fresh Guibo, which should solve our vibration issue. And this subframe should make the car much more planted. And these traction arms looking sweet. Once again, also these traction arms are 100 Newton meters. So yeah, we're almost there, guys. Go ahead and wrap this up and get a test drive for you. All right, guys, so everything is done, it's marked, looking beautiful, to spec. Last thing to put in is this exhaust manifold, exhaust system. We just finished putting in the heat shield. Drive shaft is torqued. The through bolts are 55 Newton meters plus 90 degrees, and the single bolts that go in and thread to the actual yoke themselves are 85 Newton meters. Those have all been torqued. Heat shields in, about to finish with putting these exhaust system in the back box, and the torque on these bad boys is 150 inch-pounds. Everything's looking beautiful. The only other thing to do will be to put in this brace as well, wherever it is, right there. Gotta put this brace in. It's like the last thing. Everything's sweet, ready to go for a test drive. Can't wait to feel how this thing feels. I know Matt's excited.
Yes, I am. I'm gonna send it.
Sending. All right, guys, we're just putting the wheels on now. Everything is basically done and in. Exhaust is in, heat shields are in, the brace is in. So we're gonna go ahead and drop her down here and take her for her first test drive. All right, guys, the car is officially done and on the ground. Everything has been torqued. Wheels are torqued to 100 foot-pounds. We are ready to test drive this f***ing bad boy. I'm excited. I've been telling these guys how much they need their solid subframe and diff bushing, so excited to see how it feels and see their reaction when they know that it was necessary. So super stoked. This thing looks sick on these welds. But enough talking about it. Let's go for a test drive.
Let's get it.
Let's go. It's just like an M240 kind of day. We got the race car. Kean's here for some service. We just fixed his roof wing. Gonna do an oil change and a vent valve and some other stuff. Woo! Listen to that chop. Listen to that chop. She always like that on startup?
Yeah, yeah. Fine.
Yeah. That was, sounded like a camel. It was kind of badass. Woo! That's good. Go.
I'm driving.
Yeah, you're driving. That's fine.
It's gonna take a while to heat it up.
Yeah. You'll notice right away though. Like literally you've been pulling in and out of here, you should kind of notice.
Is it gonna start whining?
No, you won't hear the whine until at least probably like 40, 50. Go.
No, it's still walking a little bit. Yeah.
Feels way better, dude. Feels like it's tracking straighter. He's tripping.
That must be pretty scary.
Yeah, seeing a car come up on you that fast. That leaves tracks all the way down the road. Look at the tracks this thing left down. Right as the power started kicking in, you can see it just and this was probably 60 miles an hour at least by the time he was here. Look at that. Look at those just super straight tracks. Just whoop. They go on for like another 100, 200 feet easy. Thing was ripping. Thing is sick. Much better.
I think you screwed me. I think I have to do the same thing.
Yeah. It's good?
Pretty well, yeah, it's definitely a lot
It's
better.
definitely tracking straighter.
Like you could see, like I had it floored in third and fourth.
Dude,
I've
the
never
first
been
time
able
you
to
took
do that
off,
before.
the first time you took off, it left perfectly straight lines for like, I don't know, 300 feet.
I want to see
Yeah.
them. I've got to see them.
This is Sport Plus too.
Yeah. No, she's ripping. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Car is sick, running great. Big improvements. Hopefully we see it back for some more modifications to continue dialing in this build. I think Matt's very happy with everything.
I need a driver one now, but yeah, the car is pretty bonkers.
Yeah. Need a good driving video. Go hit some drag days and Get a little ET slip and see what she does.
Gonna do a 7.
Yeah.
Right.
Nope, let's hope so.
No, I'll be happy with like a 9.6, 9.7. I'll be very happy with that.
Yeah.
I think the car can do it.
Definitely. Well, we'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and comment down below what you think.
The Speed Addiction. Forget this channel. The Speed Addiction. Look it up. That's where you see the best content.
We'll be tagging his channel down below, so make sure to check him out. And see you guys in the next one. If you like this video, be sure to check out the next one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe and like the video. It helps a lot. Thanks, and see you in the next one. Don't run him over.